I got the spokes that were supposed to be coming from China canceled. Those weren't supposed to be showing up until June 7th. I ordered those, 2 weeks ago? A week or 2 weeks ago. So that's 7 weeks shipping? That's no. That's no. So I got that order canceled. And I got these ordered from New Jersey. And they should be here on Monday. And I get to print shipping labels today for the tires and tubes that were the wrong size that are coming today. So those are going to be going out. Then I also did some work on the bike that you get to see. As you can see, it's starting to come together and it's starting to look like a bike again. We got some stuff done. We got our levers on in about the right spot. Should be pretty good. I double checked them against the old grips. I might have to move them up, which means I'm gonna have to adjust the mirrors again, which means I'm holding off on clipping the brake lines. And right now I've just got them zip tied in, temporary, to see how they fit. I ended up going with the tachometer, or the speedometer on the left-hand side, just because it was being funky with having it on the right-hand side and it wasn't driving right. So that's gonna be fun. Previous episode, I made some mistakes. Beyond what you saw with the slightly stupid on just screw the old spokes in all the way and then I'll just hit them with the Dremel and cut them down. No, I have to put in 264s. No, I actually ordered 262 millimeter spokes, so that there's a little bit of stretch, because when you true a rim, they actually stretch out a little bit, but 1 to 2 millimeters is normal, so I figured, well, they measured out 262 or 264 flush, so I'll order 262s. They should be here on the 2nd. Today is the 27th, so that's good. Other than that, I did a little bit of work. As you saw on the thumbnail, I got the grips on. I got an idea of where the headlight goes. I think that's where it's supposed to go. It doesn't look like it can go underneath. And I think that would actually get in the way of some brake cables where they're temporarily lined. I do have the brake cables temporarily in. They have to be trimmed. Batteries and the charger for the Dremel should be showing up today. So I should be able to get those in maybe tonight. I think I could be able to do that tonight. What can I do? Alright. You know what? I'm just dying to see this. This isn't final placement. This is just a test fit. And I left that behind. I like that. That looks good. That looks damn good. Ooh. Okay. Uh-oh, how unfortunate. So, the exhaust that I got from Bikeberry that I was really hoping that I was going to be able to run, looks like I'm not going to be able to run. So, even just on the test fit, I've got these barely tightened down. You can see there's a massive air gap there between the surface and the flange and the gasket, and I'll show you why. The nut that holds on the silencer is contacting the kickstand and keeping it from being able to go flush. So I'm just going to save the poo-poo pipe for my next build when I got a more modern bike that's got a bolt-on kickstand instead of a welded-on kickstand. Alright, so I went through and I did a little bit more stuff. Test fitting some other things, saying fuck it, putting a couple of things in final place because they're gonna be out of the way anyway. But yeah, test fitting the throttle cable. You can see how damn long that is, and I know I don't have it screwed down into the carb. You can see just how freaking long that is, and the clutch is the same way. Look at this loop. That is all extra. So this is slack in the cable that we're going to have to take up. That is easily 9 to 10 inches that I'm going to be cutting off the end of the clutch cable at least. And we'll figure something out with the throttle cable, because with the throttle cable, it's not as easy as the clutch cable. The clutch cable, because it doesn't have an end on it, we can just pull the cable back, run it nice and tight, clip it to length, and shoot the cable right back through, and then tuck it up here. Tuck the extra cable up here. Throttle cable, not so much. Other thing you might not have noticed, but I got the nice, fat, vintage style grips, and let me tell you, oh, they feel nice. Throttle feels nice too. Nice, easy. Reach there to get to the kill switch. And the mirrors look good too. I think they work with this. And the nice thing about these Nibi, or however it's pronounced, throttles, is that you don't have to drill into your handlebar like you do for the plastic ones. So if I, after cruising around on this for a while, find out that, yeah, I don't really like the seating position, I could just flip this handlebar back over and not really have to worry about it, which is why I'm going to leave all the cables probably about 3 inches long. Just enough where there's enough slack where if I flip the bar over, they can come up with it and not be tight. I might have to get the tape out to see if I got 4 inches here on the tank. Because if I do, I know exactly what I'm sticking right here, and right here. That's going to be a treat for next time, though. Well, pretty far from next time. Guess what, everybody? Today is Friday, April 29th. And the new tires came. Same as the old tires. In fact, they're the same brand, same size, same everything. They're pretty and boy, they smell nice. We're going to set those over there. We're going to get the front one at least put together today. Also, batteries came in for the Dremel, so we're cutting some brake lines and the clutch cable today. We're not going to be doing the throttle cable because that one's going to be a little bit more involved. I'm going to have to wait on getting a little bit of... probably going to have to do a hardware store run because I got to get a little... some 1/8 inch rivets so I can pop the pin out, cut off the end, solder that on so that it's the same dimension. It's a neat little trick, so it allows you to customize the length of the throttle cable. It's really nice. Anyway, got my lesbian pride flannel on today. Let's get to it. So one thing you do want to remember when you are adjusting your cable length is you want to be able to, well, for one, have the cables all the way out. And you also want to have the cables marked in some way where you're cutting. Like with me, I just put a little spot of silver spray paint with where I'm going to cut. So for now, this one's loose. We're just going to pull that off. And we'll get this one clipped. All right. A little bit ugly, but... So then after you got your cable cut, all you got to do is just slide it back onto the cable. Normally it just slips right through. Sometimes you got to clean up the end a little bit. Feed it through any ties that you got it going through. Slip on your cable end. Drop it down into your adjuster. And tighten it up into whatever it's going into. Get those adjusted however you want it to go. And you're set and ready to go. Alright, you really don't need to see me cut all the rest of the cables that I'm going to be cutting. So I'm just going to do those off camera. Alright, so those cables are on. They're not tightened down yet because I don't have final routing yet, but I had an idea of final length. So they're cut a little bit long, but they're cut. So if I want to go through and like cut them a little bit shorter, I can still do that. Because I don't have crimped ends on them, I can do that. Now then, just as a little show of how much I had to take off this Schwinn for these cables, I was using Sunlight's budget dual side pull brake kit. I think it's like 20 bucks on Amazon. This is a 26-inch frame, right? I believe it's a 45-inch wheelbase. Haven't measured it, but I had to take about 4 inches off the front brake cable for it to fit, and easily 10 inches off the rear. And when it came to the clutch cable. Again, I had to shorten that by about 4 inches for it to fit nice and snug and neat and tidy and not have big huge loops that were sticking out in front of the bike that could possibly get caught in the tires, which we don't really want. We want things neat and tidy and clean. And we're going to do the same thing to the throttle cable in a couple of days when we get a chance to go to the hardware store and pick up a couple rivets and some more solder so we can fix the cable end so that it doesn't just pull off right away. I bet you thought I forgot. We can get the front tire on. Let's do that. Let go. Oh yeah, this is how it should have gone together the first time. That's way more like it. Oh yeah, there we go. All right, that is all ready to be pumped up. Well, I figured that much. We're definitely going to have to bring the wheel this way, which I figured we were going to have to do as a result of putting the speedometer on. Because I had to flip the wheel side to side. But that's nothing, that's just a couple hours of work. Sunday now, got my Cthulhu shirt, got some tea. Still really hot, so I'm gonna let that sit. And the stupid wind is back. I was looking at some pictures and I figured out, I think, how to get this pipe to fit. Because if you noticed, about a minute ago or so, we were having some issues with getting it to fit, hitting on the little kickstand. But yeah, we're gonna try test fitting the universal mount. They lift the engine up a little bit. If that works, we might have the nice long exhaust on, so we're not blowing our exhaust out and then having that blow down and then just get sucked right back up into the carburetor, which is kind of how the stock pipe blows out. I don't really like the idea of that. Like, it's neat how it is kind of looks more like an old school board track racer, but I don't really like it. I'd rather go run something a little bit longer that looks more like an old school 40s Harley pipe. So let's get to it. Okay, so there are a couple of ways that you can remove a stud. We're going to be using the 2-bolt method. So what you do with that, thread one bolt on, or one nut on, thread another nut on, then you got to tighten them together. Need 2 wrenches, obviously, to do this. And because I don't have 2 14s actually right now, I gotta go like this. And from there, you go on the bottom one to loosen. And you'd go on the top one to tighten. Then obviously from there to loosen them up, just hold them again. And they pop apart. There. You got your 8mm mounting stud, which I was surprised at. This has 8mm mounting studs front and back. It was advertised as having 8mm in the front and 6mm in the back. But it's 8mm front and back. And with it having a G4 cylinder, I'm wondering if it's got the new cylinder in it as well. We'll see when we pop the top off to go and clean the clean out any casting flash that's in there, which is going to be the next video. Because cable ends and everything like that aren't arriving until next week. So that's next video. Or that's going to be that video or whatever. I don't know if that's the next video, but all the cleanup for the motor is going to be in the next video at least. Grab your new mounting plate. Line it up below your wires. Take your 2 supplied M8 bolts. Drop the supplied lock washers and regular washers on there. There you went. Don't drop them like an idiot. That would be a fine time to remember that you have a socket set. And you want that snug down to about 12 foot-pounds. Okay, then you got a U-bolt that goes into the front. That, depending on the shape of your frame, might be too large. Now remember, we got a pretty small down tube, so this one here might be too big. We might be stuck having to run the stock pipe. We'll find out. I really wish automotive blocks were this easy to throw around. And already we can see we're sitting up higher. And we're not quite as centered in the frame. But we're at least going to have to shorten this U-bolt if we want to run the universal. But we're in snug enough that we could at least test fit the exhaust. Yeah, now it's looking like so I can't get this either high enough or low enough to fit around the crankset or the kickstand. So I'm just going to save this for another build. The next one I'm going to do is a cruiser. And they tend to be a little bit more lenient on fitting this style pipe. So we'll save it for that. We'll just run the studs and just the normal spacing because it'll have a little bit lower center of gravity. And well, I'm not going to be racing with this thing. I'd rather have a lower center of gravity than a higher center of gravity. Even though I'm, technically speaking, with having my ass up here, even though I'm 150 pounds, having the engine down here, even though it'd be only about a half-inch lower, that would be a longer moment arm. But I'd rather not have to fudge around with having to cut U-bolts. Which I'd have to do because this U-bolt is about 1 centimeter too long to fit with a narrow down tube frame. So that's that idea out the window. Let's try the next one. I had an idea of what I was going to do today. And it puffed right out. It's just gone.